Deep in the rainforest, one man takes on an impossible challenge, turning a steep, jagged waterfall into a thriving off-grid homestead. Watch him bend the forces of nature to his will. He creates his own fish farms and channels the rushing water into a gravity-fed plumbing system. He harnesses the river's power to generate his own electricity and locks a wooden bridge together without a single nail. He doesn't just survive, he builds an ecosystem, raising flocks of animals, harvesting his own crops, and trading at the market to fund his ultimate goal, a massive two-story home built entirely by hand. From raw wilderness to a self-sustaining masterpiece. One man, 10 months. At only 24, Khoi ventures deep into the Vietnamese mountains with a few basic tools and one massive goal: to build a self-sufficient farm from scratch. He chooses a harsh, rocky spot beside a waterfall. It's a strategic masterstroke, providing fresh water, fish, and eventual power. But first, he needs a shelter to survive the wild. To clear the unyielding ground, he uses an ancient technique: fire setting. The extreme heat weakens the solid rock, allowing him to chip it away by hand. He will build one of the walls directly against the rock face, shielding his future cabin from strong winds while saving construction time. Using river stones, he raises the foundation to reduce the risk of flooding during the rainy season, when the stream rises and runoff flows across the site. As his hands aren't enough to level the earth, he engineers a heavy wooden tamper. Making his own tools will become the rhythm of his life here. For the main frame, there are no metal nails. Using skills passed down from his father, Khoi relies entirely on traditional joinery, carving precise geometric notches that lock the heavy timber together. To maximize his living space, he extends the platform directly over the stream. This added area will be meant for sleeping, while the main section will house the kitchen and living room. As he seals the roof, he deliberately leaves a gap over the living area. Directly beneath it, he crafts a stove from river clay and stone. It's a temporary kitchen to survive the cold nights. His long-term plan is to build a separate one across the river, keeping smoke and cooking odors away from his resting area. The window frames will remain empty for now. With the nearest town miles away, the exhausting trek for glass is a luxury for another day. He has secured his base camp. His basic survival needs are met. Now, the real work of building an off-grid empire can finally begin. Throughout this week, he has been relying on freshwater snails and other wild foods for sustenance. Now, he has a bigger plan, setting up several traps to catch enough fish to begin developing his fish farm. Using small grubs found along the riverbank as bait, he engineers automatic traps using the natural flexibility of fresh bamboo. He can now finally focus on the self-sufficient life he came here to build. His first step is creating a pond for his fish farm. He builds a barrier across the stream using bamboo poles secured by vertical stakes. The dam allows fresh water to flow through while keeping the fish contained. It is only the beginning of a system he plans to expand over time, but his fish farm is now underway. Only the fish are missing. Back at the trap site, the plan has paid off. He divides the catch, saving a few for tonight's dinner and keeping the rest alive to release them into the new pool. This simple step turns today's catch into a sustainable, long-term food source for himself and a future product to sell at local markets. From this moment on, farm life begins. While a hot meal restores his energy, Khoi is already thinking about his next objective: establishing a productive vegetable garden. He begins clearing the overgrown bank next to the cabin to open up a usable space for the new garden. Instead of discarding the brush, he burns it on site to clear the land, and the leftover ash will soon prove useful. Before planting, he prepares the terrain. Heavy rains could quickly wash the soil away, so he builds bamboo terraces that hold the earth in place and control water runoff. The leftover ash acts as a natural fertilizer, enriching the forest soil with essential minerals for his crops. He plants kohlrabi and several other leafy vegetables across the formed terraces. Over time, the fish and crops will provide a steady food supply, with enough surplus to trade at local markets. For now, all he can do is wait and care for the crops as they mature over the next 2 months. Yesterday, Khoi spent his first night inside the cabin. It was cold, and water kept finding its way inside, making it clear that sealing the shelter is now his top priority. He went to town earlier to pick up the glass for the windows and this plastic membrane. It serves as the first layer of protection for the roof, helping keep the interior completely watertight during the heavy monsoon rains. Because his goal is to build a shelter that blends naturally into the landscape, he then applies a thick layer of soil and fresh grass. The living roof provides excellent insulation from the tropical heat while helping the cabin disappear into the hillside. The glass panes can finally be installed around the window openings. No more cold air or insects will be able to get inside and disturb him while he rests. To keep fresh air flowing through the cabin, he leaves one window opening uncovered and builds an adjustable bamboo shutter. It can be closed at night for warmth and security, and opened during the day to allow natural ventilation. Inside, he builds a second sliding panel to separate the kitchen and living area from his sleeping space. The farm is gradually taking shape, and it's time to expand the ponds and build a proper fish farm. He begins by rearranging the stones just below his shelter to redirect the stream's flow. This allows him to keep the upper pond exclusively for personal use, while channeling the remaining water downstream. The wider area below the cabin provides the ideal location for a larger breeding pond to raise far more fish than before. Since stagnant water would quickly become unhealthy, he carves several openings along the length of the bamboo wall and inserts short bamboo spouts into the gaps. These creates a controlled overflow, keeping the water constantly circulating and oxygenated. He repeats the same method for the other ponds. This system will later inspire him to build a separate network of bamboo pipes, carrying fresh water from a natural spring throughout the property for cooking and drinking. Back at the main pond, he decides to build a floating feeding station on the water. Each day, he will fill it with fresh leaves, giving the fish a steady food source to help them thrive. Suddenly, a visitor appears. A young lost goat wanders into camp, attracted by the fresh vegetation around the pool. Khoi decides to take her in. She provides welcome companionship in the isolated jungle and becomes the first pet on his growing farm. He gives her the name Bess and starts creating a small shelter to keep her safe. Soon, she will no longer be alone, as another companion is expected to join her. Two months have passed since the 24-year-old first arrived in this remote corner of the jungle with nothing but a few hand tools. Since then, every day has brought him one step closer to building the farm he envisioned. His vegetables are now taking root, the fish population is growing, and each new addition brings him closer to creating a place that can support itself. After finishing the small cabin for the goat, he'll head to town to pick up a few supplies. He is not ready to start selling yet, but the patience and hard work will eventually pay off. He returns with a few more vegetables and a new member for the farm, a puppy named Lou. Having another companion by his side will make life on the farm a little easier, and the puppy will soon form a strong bond with Bess. To continue expanding the farm, Khoi is finally ready to build the external kitchen and living space, but he needs a more efficient way to transport heavy materials. He builds a wheelbarrow from scratch, saving valuable energy for the work ahead. While he prepares the foundation of the new space, his agricultural plans are taking root. In just a few weeks, he will harvest the first vegetables to trade at the local market, generating new resources to keep developing his off-grid ecosystem. As he frames this second building, he relies on the same proven design principles used for his main cabin, including the living roof design. But as the farm continues to expand, connecting all these new areas becomes a challenge. Once this building is complete, he will need to build a bridge across the main pond to link both sides of the property, along with a pathway connecting the outdoor kitchen with the garden. With the frame and living roof complete, he turns to the walls. Instead of a fully enclosed shelter, he will leave the structure half open, like a pavilion-style design. His vision for this new space extends directly over the water. He builds a spacious deck that will serve as a perfect fishing spot right outside his new kitchen. So far, he has relied on the waterfall to raise fish, bathe, and supply fresh water. But soon, he will also harness its current to generate electricity, bringing him one step closer to complete self-sufficiency. Before that, he needs to connect the entire camp by building the main bridge, a defining feature of his new home. This won't be a conventional bridge. Khoi plans to make the entire structure lock together and support itself. Because he is building it alone, he first sets temporary bamboo supports in the water to hold the main logs in place. As the pieces lock together, the supports can be removed. To strengthen the bridge further, he reinforces the central joint with wooden pegs. With the main structure secure, the walkway can finally be laid. Before adding the railings to make it safer to cross, he starts building the side walkway, connecting the new outdoor kitchen and chill-out area to the garden at the back. The impressive structure officially links both sides of the farm, making it much easier to get around and proving just how much his skills and vision have grown. With the bridge providing better connection, Khoi looks for new ways to maximize his land on the other side. Rather than clearing more of the forest, he builds a bamboo cultivation tunnel. It makes use of vertical space, allowing the same piece of land to serve as both a walkway and a place to grow new vegetables. Over the past few days, he has noticed bees feeding on his new crops and gathering water near the stream. He tracks their flight path into the brush and discovers a hive of ground-nesting bees hidden in the hillside. After months of intense physical labor, the sweet honey is a well-earned reward. As he sits down for dinner, the farm gets completely dark at night, and it's time to make a permanent change. The next morning, Khoi begins one of the biggest milestones of the entire build, bringing electricity to the site. To make it happen, he will harness the waterfall with a handmade water wheel, turning its constant current into a source of power. His goal is to add lighting to both his main cabin and the new outdoor kitchen. By carefully carving interlocking joints, he assembles a perfectly balanced wheel designed to withstand the heavy push of the river. While the waterfall provides a constant source of power, its natural drop flows directly into the pond, making it impossible to place the wheel there. So he builds a heavy log foundation over the lower pool to safely support the wheel's axle. He then engineers an aqueduct to catch the water at the top of the falls and channel it outward. This delivers the flow precisely onto the wooden paddles, forcing the wheel into a continuous, powerful spin. At the top, he adds a bamboo valve to control the water flow, directing it onto the wooden paddles. By moving the pipes aside, he can stop the wheel whenever needed. The kinetic energy of the river has been successfully harnessed, and the next challenge is converting that mechanical rotation into electricity. A generator is brought in and installed to complete the system. With a test bulb wired directly to the unit, the first light appears, marking the beginning of a new chapter on the farm: electrical independence. To finalize the system, Khoi strings electrical wiring from the generator all the way up to his main cabin and across the new bridge to his outdoor pavilion. By installing a network of light bulbs, he fundamentally changes his life on the farm. He is no longer bound by the setting sun, and his days of living in the dark are over. More than 4 months have passed since he moved into the jungle. Without his animals, the loneliness would be much harder to bear, especially with his birthday just around the corner, a day he wouldn't want to spend alone. The crops are almost ready. Soon, he will be able to take them to the market, sell them, and use the money to buy other essential supplies. In the meantime, he turns his attention to the outdoor kitchen, expanding the space to create 2 separate areas, one for cooking and the other for relaxing. This upgrade represents a major improvement in his everyday life. For months, he has endured cooking inside his small cabin, battling trapped smoke and confined spaces. Now, he constructs a large stove in this open-air environment, far away from his sleeping quarters, providing a spacious, comfortable area to prepare his harvest. Like any proper kitchen, it will also need running water. But without electric pumps, he must rely on gravity and primitive engineering. Khoi splits and hollows out bamboo poles to create a channel. By overlapping these sections and securing them along the rocky hillside, he builds a custom aqueduct that taps directly into a mountain spring. The fresh water flows down the line and drops perfectly into a sink at his workstation, completing his fully functional off-grid kitchen. With the kitchen finished, more good news arrives. Khoi's crops have fully matured. This is a staggering milestone. He is no longer just scraping by to survive the wilderness. He has engineered a surplus. This harvest will serve as his first real currency, generating the critical income needed to expand his farm. To transport the heavy yield down the rugged mountain trails, he enlists the help of his loyal companions, Bess and Lou. The trek leads them to the local village market, where he hopes the gamble will pay off. The locals eagerly purchase his fresh organic produce, and the entire harvest is completely sold out. It is a massive triumph. But instead of using his hard-earned money only for more seeds and supplies, Khoi also purchases something far more meaningful. Today is his birthday. After surviving 5 months of total isolation, he treats himself to a rare luxury: a cake and some decoration. Turning just 25 years old, the scale of what this young man has achieved is unbelievable. Through absolute resolve and primitive ingenuity, Khoi has transformed a hostile wilderness into a permanent, thriving home. His animals are his only companions out here, providing the support he needs to keep working toward the future of the farm. Protecting everything he has built so far becomes a priority, so he engineers a large perimeter fence to secure the property. But just outside the main entrance, he plans to create a large space for more animals, extending the farm beyond the very perimeter he just built. At the same time, Khoi is finding ways to make his crops more productive. Instead of waiting for seeds to grow, he replants using established shoots, a simple technique that helps him grow new crops faster and maintain a steady supply for the village market. To further expand his off-grid food production, Khoi starts a highly efficient project: growing mushrooms. He begins by preparing dried straw as the growing medium. Since unwanted bacteria or mold could ruin the entire crop, he boils the straw first, sterilizing it before adding the mushroom spores. He packs the straw into bags with small holes for the mushrooms to grow through, and the humid jungle environment provides the perfect conditions for them to thrive. With the mushroom crop now underway, he turns his attention to another major reward on the farm. Months ago, he engineered his first fish pond. Since then, he has steadily fed the fish and maintained the ecosystem, waiting patiently for them to reach the right size. Now all that effort will pay off. During Khoi's last supply run to the village, he spotted a local elder raising ducklings, a perfect opportunity to expand the farm. And with today's catch, he finally has something worth offering in return. With the fish cooked and ready to trade, he heads to the elder to see if she accepts the deal. The negotiation is a massive success. This strategic exchange marks a major leap forward for the homestead. Khoi is no longer just gathering food to survive the wild. He is actively building a diverse, self-sustaining ecosystem. The ducklings will stay in this temporary box, while Khoi prepares a permanent habitat for them. The plan is to create a secure shelter and a pool where they can swim and move freely. As he seals the coop with a solid floor and walls, his long-term vision grows more ambitious. With the homestead functioning better than ever, he begins imagining a permanent future in the jungle, and his original cabin is starting to feel too small. He wants something bigger, a much more comfortable home that reflects this new stage of his life. But out here, priorities are strict. His own comfort must wait until the duck's new home is complete. With the shelter finished, the focus shifts to the water source. Rather than starting from scratch, he excavates a wide basin connected directly to his existing pond. By harnessing the continuous flow of the waterfall, he guarantees a steady supply of clean, fresh water. While adding the finishing touches on the pool, the logic behind his growing farm becomes clear. Instead of relying on a single source of food or income, Khoi is continuously diversifying his farm. Now, alongside his fish pond and foundational crops, he has an active mushroom cultivation, a growing flock of ducks, and a wider variety of vegetables. If one harvest fails or a resource runs low, he will always have reliable alternatives to keep the farm running. Every single new addition makes his off-grid sanctuary more solid, stable, and entirely self-sufficient. It has been a long, productive day. Khoi can finally sit down and enjoy one of the fish he kept for himself. He will need the food and a good night's rest, because tomorrow he plans to start building his new home. The day has arrived. It's finally time to break ground on the new cabin. But a build this ambitious will take time, so before construction demands most of his attention, he pushes beyond the farm's original boundaries and clears a new patch of jungle to plant fruit trees. The goal is to keep the farm expanding throughout construction, turning the weeks of building into another growing cycle, and bringing in even more food and resources. While new fields are being planted, the mushrooms have finally matured and are ready to harvest. They make the perfect meal to fuel up before the heavy labor starts. Once picked, the bags naturally reset, starting the growing cycle all over again. The moment Khoi has been envisioning for weeks has finally arrived. He is ready to build a larger, much more comfortable home. But first, he must tear down the cabin that carried him through his first months in the jungle. It didn't fail. He simply outgrew it. The farm has evolved, and now his home must do the same. With the site cleared, Khoi is already feeling the strain. The new cabin will need a much larger foundation, so he'll turn one of the pools into solid ground with river stones. To reduce the physical effort, he builds a timber slide to guide the rocks down into place. This will go far beyond a wider cabin. Khoi is gaining space for a two-story home. A structure this large will require much heavier timber. He selects massive tree stumps with broad root bases for the supports, along with thick logs for the frame. In this damp jungle, protecting that wood is critical, so he uses a traditional charring technique learned from his father, scorching the surface, then scraping away the loose char to help defend the timber against moisture, termites, and decay. As the timber frame rises, the true scale of the project becomes undeniable. 7 months ago, Khoi was building a small survival cabin. Now, using the same traditional joinery and materials gathered from the land around him, he is raising a far larger two-story structure entirely on his own. To protect the main frame from ground moisture, he rests the primary columns on the broad tree stump bases. They act as a buffer, so any decay affects the stump first, rather than the load-bearing structure. As the heavy timber frame comes together, the final form of the house begins to emerge. He will soon add a broad palm roof, followed later by solid timber floors. But the design goes much further. The finished home will feature a wide terrace with direct views of the waterfall, alongside a highly functional and comfortable interior. Just outside, he intends to carve out a natural pool right at its doorstep. This structure is a massive leap from a simple survival cabin. It is the clearest sign yet of how far his self-sufficient homestead has evolved. After days of heavy timber work, Khoi needs a break from the house. Curious about a large nearby lake and the species living there, he builds a new bamboo trap suited for deeper water. With his fish farm running low after the last trade, it is also the perfect chance to restock it. It uses a simple one-way bamboo gate. Fish can push their way inside, but the flexible pieces make it much harder to swim back out. A piece of bait is placed inside to lure them in. With the traps complete, it's time to head to the lake. Exploring the surrounding wilderness helps him better understand the environment, something he wants to keep doing as the farm grows. With plenty of construction still ahead at the house, the traps are anchored and left in place. Tomorrow morning, he will return to see what these deeper waters have delivered. Returning to the build, work begins on enclosing the structure and preparing a proper sleeping area. As night falls, the new house has walls for the first time, providing much better shelter for everyone inside. The next morning, Khoi heads to the lake, excited to see how the traps worked. As he hauls the bamboo cage to shore, the result is clear. His simple engineering has paid off. Inside, he finds 4 different species, some he has never caught before. The trip proves valuable for more than just restocking the pond. It expands the variety of fish on the farm and shows just how much these expeditions can add to his growing system. The next priority is creating proper access between the 2 levels of the house. A 2-story home needs a staircase, and its position was planned from the start. The palm roof extends over this area, keeping the route between levels sheltered during the heavy jungle rains. Upstairs, he begins framing the balcony railing with thick logs, and later he will fill the gaps with natural branches. With these exterior elements coming together, the structure is getting closer to feeling like a true home. After spending weeks on construction, the garden is thriving. To keep the cycle moving, Khoi harvests part of his crops and prepares for another trip to the village market. Now that he has a new sleeping area, he plans to get proper bedding, a major upgrade to his daily comfort. But before leaving, he clears the overgrown weeds and uses them as feed for the new fish and the ducks. In this closed-loop system, nothing goes to waste. Once at the market, a small piglet at a neighboring stall catches his attention. With the new house nearly finished and the farm continuing to expand, he now has the space and resources to welcome another animal. After selling part of his vegetables to raise money for bedding, he offers the piglet's owner the rest of his harvest, plus some cash. She accepts, and he is thrilled to bring the piglet home. But before heading to the villa, he uses the money from his earlier sales to pick up the blankets and cushions for his new sleeping area. At home, the newest member is quickly welcomed by Bess and Lou. After some thought, the piglet will be called Moo. He also takes a moment to set up the new bedding in his sleeping area. With the main structure nearly complete, the focus can finally shift to making the interior feel like a real home. Large wooden shelves are built into the walls, creating space for future books, plants, and personal touches that were impossible in the first cabin. At this point, it is no longer only about function, but also about beauty and character. At just 25 years old, and in less than a year, Khoi has achieved far more than he could have imagined. What began with a simple cabin beside the waterfall has grown into a thriving farm with crops, fish ponds, mushrooms, and animals. He has built bridges, brought running water and electricity to the site, traded his harvests at the local market, and used every new resource to keep expanding. Now, with the foundations of his new life firmly in place, the two-story house is finally nearing completion. Only the decoration and personal touches remain before he can truly call this new space home. Finding those final details means a visit to the market. But first, he takes a moment to wash in the waterfall. His pets are next. The farm's growth is no longer limited to its crops. The duck flock has multiplied enough that a few mature birds can be traded without slowing its expansion. Packed into bamboo baskets, they are taken to the village market. There, a buyer is quickly found, turning another farm surplus into money for the villa. The earnings go toward handcrafted clay planters, flowers, and books for the shelves upstairs. With everything finally in place, the two-story house feels more like a true home than ever before. For the first time, there is room at the villa for something that has always come second: a space to relax and have fun. A natural pool begins to take shape in front of the house, built from river stones. Once the fresh stream water fills the basin, he jumps in, finally enjoying a well-earned break from the constant work. After 10 months, Khoi wakes up in a home far more comfortable and welcoming than he ever imagined. All around him, the systems and spaces he has created now make everyday life easier, including a pool just a few steps away. But for Khoi, this was never just about building a beautiful home. He came here to prove that it is still possible to create a life with his own hands, closely connected to nature. Along the way, every challenge has taught him something new, while the animals that joined him have turned this isolated valley into a place that truly feels alive. And now, this is no longer just a project. This is where he lives full-time, and his vision keeps growing. He wants to build a larger kitchen, use the space beneath the house for storing food and supplies, improve the soil, plant more flowers and fruit trees, experiment with new structures, and welcome more animals to the farm. Less than a year ago, he entered the forest with an idea. Today, that idea has become a life, and what looks like a finished paradise may only be the beginning.